Okay, so hello and welcome everyone to Infinity Learn, and today we are going to discuss the solution of your examination. Okay, so I am Ravindram and I will be taking care of your physics portion of examination, right? So let's begin with the first question. You already know me, by the way, I guess. Now a cricket player catches a ball. Okay, perfect. A cricket player catches a ball of mass. This mass is given. Quickly write down what is the mass. Okay, write down what is the mass given. Mass is given 0.1 kg. Perfect. Moving with the velocity. Okay, initial velocity is given 25 meter per second. Perfect. If the ball is caught in 0.1 seconds, delta t is given 0.1 seconds. Perfect. The force of the blow exerted on the hand of the player is, see, final velocity is 0. Why? They are not given, but you understood, but you should understand now. If you are catching a ball, what is happening? Finally you bring it to rest, na? So final velocity is 0. So what is the force? Simple. You will say, sir, F is equals to m delta v by delta t. That's all. What is mass? 0.1. What is the velocity change? V minus u by delta t. Okay. So it will be 0.1 into v is how much? 0 minus u is how much? 25. What is delta t? Delta t is also 0.1. Okay. So it will be minus 25 Newton. So if I say minus 25 Newton, this is the force on the ball by the hand. So what is the force by the ball on the hand? It will be 25 plus 25 Newton. Second option is correct. I guess yes, we are right. Let's move ahead. A body of mass. Okay, a body of mass 2 kg moving on a horizontal surface with an initial velocity, this is given, comes to rest after 2 seconds. Okay, so this body comes to rest after 2 seconds. So some information has been given to us. What kind of information? V is equals to u plus at. What is V? 0. What is u? 4. What is a? We don't know. What is time? 2 seconds. Minus 4 is equals to 2a. What is a? Minus 2 meter per second square. This is given. Now, if one wants to keep this body moving on the same surface, okay, with the velocity 4 meter per second, then force required is simple. See students, try to understand. This body was going forward, okay, with certain velocity 4 meter per second. It started. Obviously, there must be some retarding force. Let's say it is friction. So friction is retarding this block and finally this friction brings it to rest, right? We want it to move continuously with this velocity only. That means net force on this block must be 0. So the force that we need to apply must be equal to frictional force which is acting in the backward direction, right? Now one more thing is, how much is the frictional force? See, frictional force initially only friction was acting. So what is frictional force? Frictional force is m into a. So how much is this? M is how much given? 2. What is a? Minus 2. So what is the answer? Minus 4 Newton. So frictional force is minus 4 Newton, that is acting in the backward direction. So obviously, how much should be your F? Forward direction plus 4 Newton. Do you understand? Clear everyone? Perfect. An object of mass 5 kg is moving with a constant velocity of 10 meter per second. Okay. A constant force acts on it opposite to its velocity for 4 seconds and gives it a velocity of 2 meter per second in the in the opposite direction. That is important. The acceleration produced by the force is, right. Simple, very simple, very simple. You will say initial velocity is 10 meters per second. A constant force acts on it, okay, in the opposite direction. Okay, so this is the block. It starts with this initial velocity u, which is 10 meter per second. Now there is a force which is acting in the opposite direction, and after some time this block starts moving with 2 meter per second in the opposite direction. So carefully write it minus 2, right? After some time, how much time? Let's say this is t equal to 0, and after how many seconds? They are saying 4 seconds, right? So after 4 seconds it is moving backward with minus 2 or 2 meter per second, right? The acceleration produced will be very simple. You will say, sir, v equals to u plus at. What is v? Minus 2. What is u? 10 plus a into 4. What will happen? You will say, sir, minus 4a is equals to 12 A is minus 3 meter per second square and magnitude wise 3. Second option is correct. Got it? Fourth, the linear momentum of a particle is given. Simple. How does the force? Very simple. Everybody knows. Everybody knows it is dp by dt. Let's differentiate this. A is a constant, its derivative is 0. Bt square. B is a constant, derivative of t square is 2t. So answer is 2bt. That means force is directly proportional to t to the power 1. Got it? Yes. Perfect. Second option must be right. Yes. Very good. A dish of mass 10 grams is kept floating. This is a very good this is a very good question. So a dish of mass 10 grams. ठीक है भाई, समझ आ गई बात. We are clear on this. This is a disc. Obviously one force mg must be acting downward. Now what is happening? In order to keep it floating in air, in order to keep this disc floating in air, we need to apply a force from downwards in the upward direction. This. Now from where this force is coming, we are constantly firing on this disc. We are constantly firing bullets with a speed v, and these bullets after collision are rebounding with the same speed. Okay, so this is constantly happening. Do you understand? So this, the bullets, the bullets are going and then coming back, right? So obviously when these bullets are, let me explain you, when these bullets are going like this, so this will stay there, okay, because continuously. But now the problem in this question is, we don't know what is the time of interaction of a single bullet here, because the time of interaction of the single bullet is very less, so we cannot know that, right? Though we know the mass of a single bullet, though we know the change in velocity of the bullet, change in momentum of a single bullet is known to us, right? We know that, no problem, but we don't know the time of interaction, so calculation of force will become very difficult, right? What I am saying is, delta p by delta t when you do for a single bullet, when you talk about a single bullet, the problem is we don't know this. This is not known to us. Okay. So we will observe for a particular interval of time in which we will say let some number of bullets strike the plate. Like this. Okay. So this is a good conceptual question. Let's take it properly. Okay, let's begin quickly. Let's begin. So what is happening here? We will say the force applied will be, see, first of all they have given n by delta t, one information is given which is 10 bullets per second, 10 bullets per second. So for, if we observe for some delta t amount of time, how many bullets are fired? 10 into delta t amount of bullets are, total these many bullets are fired, right? Now what is the force applied? You will say, sir, force will be change in momentum of n number of bullets in delta t time. Do you understand? Now you tell me, what is n? 10 into delta t upon delta t into mass of bullet into minus v. Why? Final velocity is minus v downward, initial velocity is v upward. So final minus initial, final is minus v, initial is v. So minus v, so minus 2v it will become, okay? Do you understand? So from there I can say it will be, F will be equal to, this will get cancelled, minus 2mv into 10, right? And we will say, since this block is at rest, so obviously net force must be, net force must be 0. So we will do it like this. We will say F must be equal to mg. Now what is the force? Minus 2 into mass of single bullet. What is the mass of single bullet? 5 grams. 5 by 1000 kg. Into velocity of a single bullet, that we have to figure out, into 10, right, is equals to m. What is m? Tell me m. 10 grams. Okay, 10 by 1000, right, into g is how much? 9.8. Is it clear? So what we will do, we will say ding gone, ding gone. 5 2s are 10. So we will be how much? 9.8 upon 10 meters per second, or we can say 9.8 upon 10 into 100 centimeter per second. Ding gone. So we will be how much? 98 centimeter per second. Ding. Clear? So this option is right. So you have to remember this method. This is a very common question in NEET. These type of varieties are definitely asked if as far as impulse questions are concerned. So remember how to deal with this kind of question, because we are not able to find out the instantaneous value of force here or the force due to a single bullet. So what we do, we take it over a time interval, we observe it over a time interval delta t, and let's say that overall change in momentum will be total number of bullets multiplied by change in momentum of a single bullet. So this is overall change in momentum of n number of bullets in delta t time. So this is how we get the answer. Clear? Or else you can remember this formula, right? You can remember this formula, there is no problem. You will definitely get the right answer. Fantastic. Let's move ahead. Okay, once again, sixth question. This is from MPL paper. So this is given 5 Newton. What they are asking is normal reaction between A and B. Very simple. What is the mass of A? mg is how much? 3 kg. 3g, that is 30 Newton. One more force is coming, which is 5 Newton. In order to balance this block, one normal component from B will be coming upwards. So we will say n minus 5 minus 30 must be 0. So n will be 35 Newton E. Okay, let's move ahead. Got it? Now, if average velocity of a body moving with uniform acceleration under the action of force is v. Okay, so average velocity is given. So v average they have given us v, very good. And the impulse it receives, okay, impulse. What is impulse? Impulse is mass times change in velocity, okay. During a displacement s is I, okay. One more thing, impulse, one more formula impulse has, that is force into time, okay. Because here they have not discussed about anything about the initial velocity and final velocity. That is why we will not go for this formula this year. By this formula, we will go with this formula, right? Because anyways, they are asking force, na? In this question, they are asking about force. If they are asking about force, then why the hell we'll go with this formula? Even though this is right, but neither they are discussing about initial velocity nor they are discussing about final velocity. Plus, they have asked for force. So just we need to figure out time, that's all, nothing else. The question is very simple. So you will say, sir, impulse is equals to force into time. And what is time? Time is displacement upon average speed. Okay, so force will be V I by S, or as it is written here, I into V by S. I into V by S is third part, right? Let's move on to the O. Pixels फट गए. So pixels are gone, but still I guess you have this question with you. So nothing, the velocity of the particle, the force and time, right? This is, I'll write down here properly. This is force in Newton and this is time in seconds, right? Now obviously the area under this complete graph, I hope you can figure out, will represent what? Will represent impulse or change in momentum. Okay, what is this? Area, right? So area under force time graph will give you impulse or change in momentum. The velocity of the particle at 10 seconds, that complete, that means you have to figure out complete area. Okay, once you know the area, mass is given 2 kg, final velocity is v, particle starts from rest, that means initial velocity is 0 is equal to area. So v will be how much? Area by 2. I hope you can figure out the area, है ना? First this little triangle, come on my dear NEET students, first this little triangle, then this is square, then this is rectangle or rectangle, both are rectangles, this triangle, completely you will figure out, the answer will come out to be 50 meter per second, right? Clear? Let's move ahead. Ninth question. A body of mass 1 kg is moving with 13 meter per second due north. Okay, so a body is moving due north with how much velocity? Let's say u1 is 30, okay, meter per second. It is acted by a force of 10 Newton. Okay, a force of 10 Newton acts on it due east. Okay, east की तरफ एक force लग गया. For 4 seconds, find the velocity of the body. See, what will happen? since this force is acting in a direction perpendicular to the direction of initial velocity, so this force is not going to change this velocity, right? First of all, we have to be very much clear on this thing. Whenever two vectors are perpendicular to each other, they are independent of each other. That means this little force can not even touch this velocity, it cannot do anything to this velocity, neither it can change the direction of this component, nor it can change the magnitude of this component, right? So it will remain 30 as it is. But yes, what it can do is it can develop the velocity along x-axis also. That means, let's say, so fx is 10, so max is 10, so ax is 10, mass is 1 kg, right? So after how much time? 4 seconds. After 4 seconds, so Vx is equals to ux plus ax into t. So Vx, ux is 0, ax is 10, time is 4. So Vx will be 40 meters per second, right? So it will be 40 meter per second. Very, very good. Now let's move ahead. After some time, what will happen? Vx will become 40 and Vy will remain 30 meter per second as it is. Do you understand? You will say, yes sir, we understand. Now what is the resultant? This is the resultant. What is the resultant? 30, 40, even a caterpillar can say it is 50. Yes or no? Yes? Very good. What is the answer? Oh, 50. Very good. 10th question. A ball of mass 0.1 kg strikes a ball normally. Okay, rebounds with the speed. Okay. Simple. Impulse, they are asking, it is m times delta v. No need to talk about time. 0.1 into final speed is minus 20, initial speed is 30, so it will be how much? Tell me. 5. How much? Minus 5 Newton second, right? Now listen to me very carefully. If you want, you can draw the diagram also. You can say, sir, a ball is coming with 30, so u is 30 positive. After striking, it will go back. V will be minus 20 meter per second. Do you understand? Yes. Okay. Rain is falling vertically downwards. Okay, now this is my favorite concept. Rain is falling vertically downward with a velocity 4 kmph. A man walks in the rain with a velocity 3 kmph. The raindrops will fall on the man with a velocity. Okay. We know that velocity of rain with respect to man is velocity of rain minus velocity of man, right? So, first of all, write down what is velocity of rain. You will say, sir, velocity of rain is 4 times minus j cap, because drops are coming vertically downward. Velocity of man is, he is moving forward, 3 cap. Do you understand? So velocity of rain with respect to man is velocity of rain minus velocity of man. So it will be 4 times minus j cap minus 3 times I cap. So finally you can write it like this. See, its magnitude will be how much? Obviously 5. 4 square plus 3 square under root, that is 5. And if still you want to write it down in the form of vector, you can write it like this. 3 times minus I cap plus 4 times minus j cap, whatever it is, right? So what will happen? You will say, sir, it will look somewhat like this. The rain is coming 4 times minus j cap plus 3 times minus I cap. This is how the man will feel the rain to be coming, right? So the resultant will be like this. So he will feel finally that the rain is coming with a velocity of 5 kmph to him, right? So in order to protect himself, he has to hold his umbrella like this. This angle is how much? 3 by 4. This is 37 degrees. So obviously with vertical, he also needs to hold the umbrella at 37 degrees. Do you understand? That means if he starts walking with 3 km per hour, he has to hold his umbrella at an angle of 37 degrees in order to protect himself, right? Clear? Yes. Absolutely yes. Let's move ahead. Answer is 5. Even if they ask the angle also, you can answer it, right? Now a man is walking due east at rate of 2 km per hour. Okay. So velocity of man, immediately write down. Velocity of man is 2 I cap. The rain appears to him. Oh ho ho, rain appears to him. That means velocity of rain with respect to man is given. Appears to him to come down vertically at the rate. Oh ho ho ho, vertically coming down. That means minus j cap at the rate of same 2 kmph. The actual velocity and direction of the rain. Okay, final. So what is velocity of rain? Actual velocity of rain they are asking. This time they have not given the actual velocity of rain. They are asking the velocity of rain. They have given the velocity of rain with respect to the man. Okay. So we have this formula. Yes, everybody knows this. Vector Vr minus vector Vm. Fine. So what is vector Vr? Vector Vr will be got it? Now what is this? Just put the values, get the answer. How much is this? It is 2 times minus j cap plus 2 times I cap. So how will you draw it? You will say, and what is the magnitude? It will be 2 square plus 2 square under root is 2 root 2, and direction will be what? You will say like this, 2 times minus j cap plus plus 2 times I cap. So the direction will be like this, obviously 45 degrees. Okay. So you will say 2 root 2. What is the velocity of the rain? 2 root 2 kmph at an angle 45 degrees with the vertical. I guess first option is right. Understood? Now 13th question. A train is moving towards east. Okay, so velocity of train is, let's say, v times I cap, right? And a car is also moving, and a car is along north. Okay, so we will say v1 v2 times j cap. Let's say if this is east, this is north, this is west, this is south. So this is I cap, this is j cap, right? The observed direction of the car to the passenger in the train. You will say, sir, velocity of car with respect to train will be velocity of car minus velocity of train. ठीक है? Velocity of car minus velocity of train. So what is velocity of car? V2 j cap minus V1 I cap. Now you draw these two vectors. You will say V1 minus I cap plus V2 j cap. Right. So we will say like this, V2 j cap and V1 minus I cap. So they will feel in this direction. That means if a person is sitting on the train, he will see that the passengers on the car are going in this direction. What is this direction? You will say, sir, this is west and this is south, so it is somewhere southwest. Sorry. It is north. So somewhere northwest, west north. Second option is right. Okay, done. Now, a boat which has a speed of 5 kmph is still in water, crosses. Okay, a boat which has a speed of 5 kmph. Remember, a boat, that means velocity of a river, which I call u, is 5, and crosses the river of width 1 kilometer. That means, okay, let it be 1 km only. Remember, this is kmph. Okay, kilometer per hour. Along the shortest possible path in 15 minutes. Okay, a boat which has a speed of sorry, velocity of man or boat, which I say vector v, is 5. The velocity of the river in kilometer per hour. Okay, fine, very good. They want to cross the river. They want to cross the river in the shortest possible time. Okay, so he will swim somewhat like this. Let's say velocity of river is u, and velocity of boat or velocity of man is v. So where is the resultant? This is, sorry, velocity of man with respect to river, is v. Okay, so this is given. So where is the resultant? Resultant, it should be this, because it wants to cross the river in the shortest possible path. That means somehow we know one thing, that what is Vm, we know this. Okay, Vm we don't know, but we can figure out. We will say, anyways, Vm is what? V square minus u square. One thing you must remember, number one. There is another way, we can say time to cross the river in this particular case. When the man or the boat is crossing the river in the shortest possible path, then remember, in such cases the resultant velocity is Vm, this, which is perpendicular to the river flow, and the time taken is what? Time taken is generally d upon Vm y component, but here we don't have x component because the resultant is this only. So we will say it is d upon Vm. Now what they have given, it is 15 minutes, 15 upon 60 hours is equals to 1 kilometer upon Vm. So I guess from here you can say the velocity of the man or the boat will be, this is 1, this is 4, so it will be 4 kmph. Now what is this? You will say, sir, Vm is equals to v square minus u square under root. So it can be written as v square minus Vm square under root is equals to u. So this is what? 5 square minus 4 square under root is equals to 3 kmph is equals to u. I hope you understand. So which option is correct? This. It's a simple question, no need to worry so much. Simple dimple puppet squeeze. So very simple. What we will do, we will say velocity of man or boat with respect to river is this. See, whenever they ask in a river man question velocity of man in still water or velocity of man with respect to river, these both are same things. Or they can say velocity of boat in still water or velocity of boat with respect to river, both are same things, right? So don't worry. Which, and I denote personally in my lectures, if you watch, I denote them with V, and velocity of river I denote it with U. Okay, so this is the formula for the shortest path, hai na? This is the case for the shortest path. Got it? Got it. Okay. Now rain is falling vertically with 3 and a man is moving due north with 4. Okay. So let's say that this direction is north and this is west and this is east and this is south and this is vertical direction, right? So like this, can you understand the scenario? So this is north, this is south, this is east, this is west. Okay. So on this plane, this is upward direction, this is downward direction. So rain is coming downward. So we will say that in which direction you should move the umbrella. Okay, rain is falling vertically with 3 meter per second. So velocity of rain is given 3 times minus j cap, right? 3 times minus j cap. We will treat this as x axis, this as y axis and this as z axis, right? Now velocity of man is due north, so velocity of man is 4 times I cap, right? Now what they need is in which direction he should hold his umbrella in order to protect himself. Fine. Velocity of man with respect, velocity of, we need to figure out velocity of rain with respect to man. Okay, how the rain is appearing to the man, this is important, right? So this will be what? Velocity of rain minus velocity of man. What is the velocity of rain? 3 times minus j cap minus 4 times I cap. So it will become 4 times minus I cap plus 3 times minus j cap, and you can draw them, right? Now see, if you draw these two vectors, see in the questions of rain man, river man problems, finally whatever answer you get, you need to draw those vectors. If you draw them properly, then you can figure out what should be the angle at which he should swim or what should be the angle at which he should keep his umbrella in order to protect himself, right? So what we will do, we will say, let's draw it. So it is what? 4 minus I cap and 3 minus j cap. I guess this is the resultant 5, and in order to protect himself he has to hold his umbrella like this. So if this angle is theta, this is what? Sorry, this angle is theta. We don't need this angle. So what is the answer? Can you see that here tan theta will be 4 by 3, that means 53 degrees, right? So he has to protect himself. In order to protect himself, he has to keep the umbrella like this at an angle 53 degrees with the vertical towards north, okay? So 53 degrees north of vertical. Do you understand? A car is going in south with a speed of 5 meters per second. Okay, again same thing. South, let's take this, now let's take it. This is north, this is south, this is east, and this is west. Like this, if you take, you can say velocity of car is 5 times minus j cap, okay? And to a man sitting in a car, bus appears to, okay, velocity of bus with respect to car, bus appears to move towards west. Okay, west means 2 root 6 times minus I cap. Okay, this is given. So what is the actual speed of the bus? Okay, fantastic. We will say velocity of bus with respect to car is velocity of bus minus velocity of car. So what is the velocity of bus? Velocity of bus with respect to car plus velocity of car. Now what is this? This is 2 root 6 minus I cap plus 5 times minus j cap. Okay, 2 root 6 minus I cap plus 5 minus j cap. Now obvious सी बात है, बहुत simple है. What will be VB? It will be 2 root 6 whole square plus 5 whole square. This is 24 plus 25. It is 49. 7. So what is the answer? 7 meter per second. Understood, students? Are you understanding or not? It is clear? Fantastic. Now rain is falling at an angle 30 degrees with the vertical. Rain is falling at an angle 30 degrees with the vertical and velocity 2 meter per second. It may appear to fall vertically to a man who is running with a speed. Fantastic. We will write like this. This is how the rain is coming down, let's say, with an angle 30 degrees with the vertical. This is velocity of the rain. How much it is given? 2 meter per second. So obviously we will express it in the form of its components. Okay, we will say velocity of rain will be 2 cos 30 degrees, this component, minus j cap, plus this component 2 sin 30 degrees I cap, this component. Do you understand? It's very easy. Now how much is this? Cos 30 is root 3 by 2, cancel, minus j cap plus 1 I cap, right? This is velocity of the rain. Now let's say the man runs in the forward direction only. So let's say the man runs in the forward direction with velocity v. So it will be v times I cap. So if our direction assumption is right, the value of v will come out to be positive, and if our direction assumption is wrong, if he runs in this direction, then automatically v will come out to be negative. So this is how we can figure out whether which direction he is moving. So we don't need to figure out initially only, or we don't need to bother ourselves with what direction we should take. We can take any direction. If our answer comes out to be positive, that means our assumption is right, that direction is correct. And if our answer comes out to be negative, that means our assumption was wrong and the direction is opposite. Do you understand? Yes? Simple concept, easy concept. So what will be the velocity of rain with respect to man? It will be velocity of rain minus velocity of man. Just put the values. So what will this be? Velocity of rain with respect to man will become, see, velocity of rain is how much? This minus this. So technically I cap, 1 minus v will happen, that's all. So you will say 1 minus v I cap, okay, plus root 3 times minus j cap, that's all. Now they are saying that the velocity of rain with respect to man is absolutely vertical, but that means this component will become 0, 1 minus v, horizontal component will become 0. okay, because it is absolutely vertical. So we will be what? 1 meter per second. Do you understand? Okay, one short trick I'll give you in these questions, students. If you want, you can remember. See what happens. Actually, when the rain is coming down like this at some angle, so rain can come at an angle only when the wind is blowing, right? When the wind is blowing, then only the rain can come at an angle, otherwise it cannot, right? Because the drops are vertically coming down. So whenever you leave something, it comes vertically down only. So there is no other way it can, if I leave this pen, it will not come like this. Yes, it might, if I leave this pen, it might come here like this if there is a strong wind here. Are you understanding? That means if they are saying that suppose they are saying, let me erase it and explain you. So in these type of questions, there's a very easy concept you can do. You can say, sir, if the rain is coming at an angle like this, so obviously this is the velocity of the drops. That means 2 cos 30 degrees, that is root 3 meter per second. That means this is the velocity with which the drops are coming down. Definitely this component is the velocity of the wind, which is what? 2 sine 30 degrees in this case, which will be 1 meter per second. Now the wind is moving with 1 meter per second and the drops are coming with root 3 meter per second. Now you tell me, if suppose your friend is going with 5 meter per second and I want to talk, suppose my friend is going with 5 meter per second, I want to talk to him, what will I do? I will also go with 5 meter per second so that he is at rest with respect to me. I want to bring him at rest with respect to me, na? If he is not at rest with respect to me, then how can I talk, right? That means if he is moving with 5, I have to move with 5. If he is moving with 40, I have to move with 40, right? So here, if you want to see the rain coming vertical, you have to keep the wind with respect to you at rest. It is possible only if you run with the same speed as the wind. Then only the drops will appear to come vertically, right? So this is the shortcut you can remember, that whenever they give you such question and they ask you with what speed the man should run so that the rain appears to come vertically, that means only the velocity of wind. Whatever is the velocity of wind, this component you figure out and you will say with this speed only if the man runs, the rain will appear to come vertically at him, right? Now this is the little concept I wanted to tell you. Okay, fine, done. I hope you must have understood. 18. The river is flowing from west to east with the speed. A man swims in still water with velocity this. In which direction should the man swim so as to take the shortest possible path to go to the south? Okay, it's very easy. So river is flowing from west to east. So let's say this is west, this is east, okay. And in which direction should the man swim so as to take the shortest possible path to go south? He wants to come here, right? Okay, this is south and this is north. So he wants to come south. So obviously if this is the river flow, see, very easy. This is the river flow, this is u, that means velocity of river. So obviously he must swim in some sense like this, so that this is velocity of man with respect to river or vector v, rv, okay, like this, so that the resultant is in this direction, which is velocity of man. Do you know that? This is our resultant that we need to figure out, because in these kind of questions, what do? Velocity of man is velocity of river with respect to man plus velocity of river. Understood? And this is our resultant that we need. That means what we want to add, vector v plus vector u. This is your vector vm, the resultant that you want in these questions of riverman or riverboat problems, right? Now, what they have given is river is flowing from west to east with a speed 5 meter per minute, right? So they have given us what? U. U is given 5 meter per minute, or vectorially if you want I cap, right? Now a man swim in still water with a velocity 10 meter per minute. Okay, so this is what man swim with in still water. That means this is given this is given v. That means velocity of man in still water. How much is this given? This is given to you 10 meter per minute. Now, in which direction should the man swim so as to take the shortest possible path? I hope you remember them. See, what you need to do, if you want to say that the resultant of these two vectors, this vector and this vector should be this. right? So what will you do? You will say, sir, this is vector VR, or I should say vector u, and this is vector VR with respect to m, that is vector v. Then where is the resultant? This is the resultant, tail to head, right? This is your resultant. Do you understand? This is that angle theta. Now can you tell me, sin theta is u, sorry, cos theta is u by v. Can you see that? What is cos theta? U by v, right? Yes or no? What is u here? U is given 5. What is v here? V is given 10. What is the answer? 1 by 2. Theta is 60 degrees. That means this is 60 degrees. So he is flowing 120 degrees downstream. 120 degrees with the downstream, sorry, with the downstream, or 60 degrees with the upstream, right? So 120 degrees with the downstream or 60 degrees with the upstream. Remember this question. Okay, students, is this concept understood? I hope you are clear on it. Let's move ahead. Okay, 120 is right. 19th question. The gas inside a balloon has a pressure of 8 atmospheres. Okay. Initial pressure is given and at temperature is also given. It suddenly bursts. Okay, suddenly burst, right? So suddenly, that means it's probably an adiabatic process, right? Probably an adiabatic process, because suddenly happening means adiabatic process. Okay, slowly happening means probably an isothermal. If for the gas Cp by Cv, that means what is given? Gamma. So what is this? This is gamma. Find the resulting temperature. So here I'll give you a hint. We will say P1 is 8 atmospheres. When it bursts, obviously it is open to surrounding or atmosphere, so pressure will become 1 atmosphere immediately. Now what is T1? T1 is 27 degrees Celsius. Please remember to represent them in Kelvin. Don't forget that. So T1 will be 300 Kelvin. What do we need is T2. Yes, am I correct? Right. So it's an adiabatic process. If you remember the formula, T upon P to the power gamma minus 1 upon gamma, sorry, T1 by P1 is equals to T2 by P2 to the power gamma minus 1 upon gamma. This is the formula that we will use. Okay. So we will simply say, what is T2? T2 is T1 into P2 by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma. So it is 300 into, now you tell me, what is P2? P2 is 1 and P1 is 8. So 1 by 8 to the power gamma minus 1 upon gamma. What is gamma minus 1? 0.5 upon gamma is 1.5. So it will be 1 by 3. 8 to the power 1 by 3 is 2. So it will be 150 Kelvin. So answer is 150 Kelvin. And but you have to answer it in degree centigrade. So what will be it? In degree centigrade it will be 150 minus 273 degree centigrade. So how much will this be? I suppose it is minus 123 degree centigrade, right? So minus 123 degree centigrade. Can you see that how easy question it was? So easy, right? Very, very, very easy. Now slope of isothermal, oh everybody knows that. Slope of देखो dP by dV is minus P by V for isothermal and dP by dV is minus gamma times P by V for adiabatic. And if you really don't remember and you want to derive in the examination, I'll give you a hint. For isothermal, you will say PV is constant. So you can differentiate both sides and write PdV plus VdP is equals to derivative of constant is 0. So from here you can say dP by dV is minus P by V. And for adiabatic, remember it is minus gamma times P by V. How? You will use this formula. PV to the power gamma is constant, and from here you can say that P into gamma V to the power gamma minus 1 times dV plus V to the power gamma times dP is equal to 0. Solving both sides, you will get this answer. Anyways, I hope you can figure out what is the right answer. Third option, right? Adiabatic curved slope is gamma times isothermal curved slope. Clear, clear, clear. Remember this thing as students. Otherwise, because if you derive this in examination, it will create utter pressure in your head. Okay, you might make mistake. You might go, your confidence might go down. You might get disturbed during the examination. That I really don't want. So it's better if you remember such a little thing. Already you are remembering so much in zoology and botany. So this is nothing in front of that, right? Now the work done in isothermal expansion of a gas. Isothermal expansion, what is the formula? nRTLN by V1, yeah, nRTLN P1 by P2. Do you understand? So V2 by V1 or P1 by P2, this is known as expansion ratio, right? So it depends upon temperature and expansion ratio. Temperature and expansion ratio. Third option is correct. Okay. Now this Carnot engine. A Carnot engine first works between, okay, T1 is how much? 200 plus 273. Please don't forget to convert in Kelvin. T2 sink temperature is how much? 0 degree centigrade. 273 Kelvin. Do you understand? Yes. Now what is efficiency in this case? You will say 1 minus T2 by T1. 1 minus T2 by T1. That is 1 minus 273 by 473. That is 200 by 473. Now next case, what they are saying, T1 is how much? Okay, 0 degree centigrade means 273 Kelvin, and T2 is how much? Okay, 273 minus 200 degrees Celsius, na? Okay, between 0 and minus. Okay, so it will be how much? I suppose it is, so you will say efficiency in the second attempt will be 1 minus 73 upon 273. It will be again 200 in the numerator, right? Now what they want is ratio. So ratio is got it? So this is how you get the answer. So very simple, no need to worry. Otherwise, one more method I can tell you, students. This is very simple. In one attempt, only one line I would have solved it. Shall I show you? See, here you need to have little patience and logic, both. Okay, you need to work with patience and logic. Then only you can understand that shortcut I am going to tell you. See, one thing we know that temperature difference in both the cases is 200. Yes or no? Whether it is 200 minus 0 or it is 0 minus 200. What is the gap? The gap is 200 only. So what is the formula? If you remember, if you understand it carefully, you will say, sir, efficiency is 1 minus T2 by T1, right? That is T1 minus T2 by T1. That is delta T by T1, right? Yes or no? So you will say, sir, efficiency in the first case will be 200 by, what is T1? Higher temperature, 473. And efficiency in the second case will be temperature difference is still 200. And but what is the higher temperature? 0 degree Celsius, that is 273. What is the ratio? You can figure out. Almost something more than 0.5. Something more than 0.5, which option is right? 0.577. So this is right. That's all. Yes. So this is also how, see, you have to improvise during examination. Okay, these things you cannot learn in one day. This is a matter of practice. How much you practice questions, how many times you practice a question, right? This will give you some like shortcuts in your mind. Your brain itself will start creating shortcuts, because when you're doing something many times, obviously your brain gets bored, right? Your brain gets bored. So what will you do? You will try to do it in a shorter way. That's why we say do it many times. Do it many times doesn't mean bore yourself. Do it many times means get out of the boredom, man. Get out of the boredom. Try to figure out some short trick. That's why. So you have to practice many questions and many times. Both things go hand in hand. Okay, so I guess we were right. So second law says no heat engine can be 100% efficient. That's all. Okay, a gas is heated at constant pressure. Constant pressure. In the question of thermodynamics, right from the very first word, start decoding the question. A gas is heated. मतलब heated supply, energy is added. Constant pressure. That means delta Q is NCP delta T, right? The fraction of heat energy used to increase the internal energy is NCV delta T. So fraction of heat, that means delta U going will be this NCV delta T upon NCP delta T ding 1 by gamma. Why? Because Cp by Cv is gamma. Cv by Cp is not gamma. Cp by Cv is gamma. So answer is 1 by gamma. Ray, yes, understood? 25. 1 mole of a gas having gamma 7 by 5 is mixed with 1 mole of. Okay, this is a good question. And I'll give you a very beautiful method to solve it. What is that? Let's understand. See, sometimes you get confused. Gamma equivalent might be N1 gamma 1 plus N2 gamma 2 upon N1 plus N2. You might do it, but it is absolutely wrong. Okay, never do this, right? You have to do it like this. Yes, degree of freedom, I can say F equivalent is N1 F1 plus N2 F2 upon N1 plus N2, right? N1 N2 are the number of moles of the gases, F1 F2 are the degrees of freedom. From this F equivalent you can say gamma equivalent is 1 plus 2 upon F equivalent, right? This is the formula that you have to use. I hope you are understanding. Now 7 by 5, that means gamma, which gas is this? It is diatomic. Diatomic means F1 is 5. 4 by 3, that means it is triatomic. So F2 is 6. Do you understand? So once we know the information, first of all we will write down whatever information we have. N1 is equals to N2 is equals to 1. F1 is equals to 5, F2 is equal to 6 because it is diatomic, it is triatomic. Otherwise, if you forget it, then also you have one formula which you can use, that is gamma is equals to 1 plus 2 by F. So F is how much? F is how much? 2 upon gamma minus 1. Okay, 2 upon gamma minus 1, right? So you can use this formula and get the value of F1 and F2. Now, find F equivalent. N1 F1 plus N2 F2 upon N1 plus N2 is 11 by 2. Now gamma equivalent will be what? 1 plus 2 by 11 by 2, that is 1 plus 4 by 11, that is 15 by 11. I hope you understand, right? So this is clear. Simple dimple, puppet squeeze. Simple question. Now, yes, very good. The heat energy absorbed by a system in going through a cyclic process. Now you will say, sir, how do we know heat energy? We say that work done is the area under the graph or area enclosed by the graph. But since it is a cyclic process, delta U will be 0. So delta Q will be equal to delta U plus W. So delta Q must be equal to 0 plus W. So delta Q is equals to W, and which is area under PV graph. समझ आ रहा है बच्चों की नहीं आ रहा है? आ तो रहा है. Okay, so you are understanding things. It's easy. Now what is the area? Area is pi r square. Now very carefully, one radius you will figure out with horizontal and one radius you will figure out with vertical data, right? So I will say like this, pi into radius, from the terms of horizontal scale it will be 30 minus 10 by 2, that is 10 kilopascals. 10 kilopascals into radius because of volume, 30 minus 10 is how much? 20 by 2 is 10, again 10 liters. 10 liters minus 3. So how much is this? This will get cancelled. It will be 10 to the power 2 pi joules. Second option is right. Okay. Got it, my dear ones? Yes. An ideal gas expands in such a way that its pressure and volume comply with the condition PV square is constant. Okay. So during the process, gas is expanding, right? A gas expands. That means volume is increasing. We want to figure out what will happen to temperature, whether it will increase or decrease. That means we need a relationship between volume and temperature. It's an ideal gas. Everything is mentioned in the question thermodynamics. We unnecessarily get confused. Everything is mentioned. From the very first line, he is giving you the solution. An ideal gas. Okay, ideal gas means PV equals to nRT. Volume is increasing. Follows the condition PV square is constant. So can I say that instead of P, we can write nRT by V into V square is constant. So can I say that TV is constant? So can I say that temperature is inversely proportional to volume? So if volume is increasing, temperature is decreasing, so it is cooled. With expansion, gas is cooling. Fantastic. Now, during an adiabatic process, the pressure of the gas is found to be proportional to the cube of temperature, right? So P is directly proportional to T cube, right? So we can say that T cube by P is constant. So we can say T by P to the power 1 by 3 is constant. Now, do you remember the formula? Just now I told you in one question we have used T upon P to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma is constant. So we can compare them and say 1 by 3 is gamma minus 1 upon gamma. So gamma is equals to 3 gamma minus 3. So 3 is equals to 2 gamma. Gamma is 3 by 2. It is 1.5. Oh. Oh, again. 29. A gas is compressed isothermally to half its volume. Okay, isothermally. Same gas is compressed adiabatically until its volume is again reduced to half. Okay, volume is reduced, na? That means let's draw this. Now try to understand, students. We are here at V1 and we are comparing V2 is what? V by 2, like this. Let's say initial pressure is P like this, okay, P1. Now, so obviously we are reaching this point. So 1, 2 like this. Now remember, this is how you will go. So one out of this is adiabatic, other is isothermal. Remember, isothermal is the least slope, lesser slope. Adiabatic will have higher slope. See, remember, if PV to the power n is constant, higher the value of n, more steep or steeper will be the graph. Okay, steeper will be the graph. So jitna zyada n hoga, higher the value of n, steeper the graph. Now we always know adiabatic process is what? PV to the power gamma is constant, and isothermal is PV to the power 1 is constant. So which is greater, gamma or 1? Obviously gamma. So this is adiabatic, this is isothermal. So you tell me who will achieve higher pressure? Acha, more work done. Acha, who will see? So obviously area under the adiabatic graph will be more. So work done in adiabatic process will be more. So work done in adiabatic will be greater than work done in isothermal. Okay, to compress it to the same volume, 1 by 2. Okay, compressing the gas through adiabatic process will require more work. Are you understanding? Because as you can see, the area under the graph of isothermal will be what? This is the area under the graph of isothermal. And what is the area under the graph of adiabatic? You will say, sir, this. More area under adiabatic. So that's why work done in adiabatic case is more. When a mango tree is shaken, mangoes are detached from the trees. Very simple. Inertia is the reason, no other reason. Okay. Now matching the block type. Zeroth law is always, thermodynamics is always related to temperature. First law is always conservation of energy. Free expansion never does any work. Second law is always of direction of heat. Simple. So answer is 3, 4, 2, 1. 3, 4, 2, 1. Second option. Got it? An ideal refrigerator. Oh ho 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 ho. What is the formula of COP? It is T1 minus T2. No. T2 upon T1 minus T2. T2 upon T1 minus T2. COP. Coefficient of performance. It is T2 upon T1 minus T2. T2 is the temperature of the what do you say, refrigerator. T1 is the surrounding temperature, right? So COP is given 5. Now T2 is this minus 13 degrees Celsius, but don't write minus 13 here. It will be 273 minus 13, so 260 Kelvin. We have to represent in terms of Kelvin. Now from here you can solve. 5 banja 5, 5 ja, how much is this? 50. 5 5s are 25, 5 2s, okay, 52. So T1 minus 260 is equals to 52. So T1 will be 312 Kelvin, but we need to answer in terms of degree centigrade. So 312 minus 273. Got it, students? Simple. The efficiency of Carnot engine between source temperature T and sink temperature is very simple. Use this formula 1 minus T2 by T1. It is 25%, 1 by 4. 1 minus T2 is how much? Sink temperature, that is 300 Kelvin upon T1. So on solving you will get it 400 Kelvin. Got it? Now consider the following two statements and choose the correct answer. If heat is added to a system, its temperature must always increase. No, it's not necessary. Why? This is wrong. Why it is wrong? Because whenever suppose you are heating water and water is vaporizing, so at that moment its temperature becomes constant 100 degrees centigrade. Still you are adding heat, but it is not raising the temperature. It is going into breaking the bonds of water, right? Water molecules. If two different water molecules, the bonds are breaking and some of the molecules are vaporizing, right? So it is not necessary. Temperature might remain constant also. So must is wrong here. Must should be removed. Second is, if positive work is done, volume must increase. Yes, definitely, because work is PdV integration. So it will be positive only if delta V is positive. That means volume should increase. Okay. So I guess first is wrong, second is correct. Second is correct, first is incorrect. Third option right. Okay. 35. Which of the following statements true? Internal energy of the gas depends on the state. Very good. Everybody knows internal energy is a function of temperature and temperature is a state function, right? Otherwise, see, in an isothermal process, change in internal energy is not maximum, it is 0. Okay. Area under pressure volume graph equals heat supplied, not heat, work, not supplied, done. Work done is state dependent but not path dependent. Wrong. It is path dependent and not state dependent. Do you understand? So I have corrected the three options. That means it is right. These three are wrong. 36. A force produces an acceleration of 4 meter per second square in a body. Okay, so let's say the F is equals to m1 into 4. Same F is equals to m2 into 6. If same F is applied on both together, then acceleration is A. So A is what? F upon m1 plus m2, that is F by 4 plus F by 6. Solving it, you will get the answer. What? 2.4, right? Do you understand, students? A ball of mass 500 grams is moving with the velocity on a straight line. A constant force of 2 Newton acts on the ball for 2 seconds in a direction opposite to the motion of the ball. The final velocity of the ball is very easy, very easy. A ball of mass 500 grams is moving with a velocity this. So what is this? This is u along a straight line. A constant force 2 Newton acts on the ball for 2 seconds in a direction. First of all, write down acceleration is what? Force upon mass. What is force? 2. What is mass? 0.5. What is acceleration? 4 meter per second square. Acts in a direction opposite to the motion. That means acceleration is actually minus 4 meter per second square. U is given 2 meter per second. Time is 2 seconds. What do they need is final velocity. V is equals to U plus AT. Simple. What is V? We will find out. U is how much? 2 minus 4 into 2. I guess V is minus 6 meter per second. 6 meter per second in opposite direction. First option is correct. I hope you all are understanding this thing. Okay, it is easy, very easy. Now starting from rest, body gains a velocity this in 2.5 seconds, then average force is mass into acceleration, that's all. So you will say what is acceleration vector? It is 3I cap plus 4j cap odd upon delta t. See, final velocity is, initial velocity is 0. Okay, I'll change it, otherwise you will also copy this. This is vector V. What is vector U? Null vector. What is vector V minus vector U? It will be 3I cap plus 4j cap. What is the magnitude of this? That means delta V magnitude, it will be 5. So what is acceleration? Got it? So what is the force? Force is mass into acceleration. Got it? Now, a bullet of mass, this strikes an obstacle, moves 60 degree to its original direction. No problem. Impulse, what is impulse? Impulse is change in momentum, that's all. Write down initial velocity vector. It is 20 I cap. Final velocity vector, finally how does it go? So initially the object is going like this with 20 meter per second. After collision it goes at an angle of 60 degrees with 10 meter per second. So obviously it will have components. So we will say 10 cos 60 degrees I cap plus 10 sin 60 degrees j cap. Now everybody knows cos 60 is half, it will be 5 I cap. So vector V is 5 I cap plus 5 root 3 j cap. Now what is delta V? Vector V minus vector U. What is vector V minus U? 5 minus 20 is minus 15 I cap plus 5 root 3 j cap. Clear? Now what is this delta V magnitude? It will be 15 square plus 5 root 3 whole square. I guess it will be 300, under root will be 10 root 3. Once you know this, now what is my impulse? Mass into change in velocity, right? So impulse will be mass into, so mass is how much? 10 to the power minus 3. Okay, so 10 root 3 into 10 to the power minus 3 Newton. How much is this? Root 3 into 10 to the power minus 2 Newton. Fourth option is right. Got it? Root 3 into 10 to the power minus 3 Newton. Oh, minus 2, sorry. Find the tension T2 in the system shown in the figure. Oh, simple. T2. T2 is actually holding the weight of this complete system. 2 plus 3, 5 kg. So T2 is nothing but 50 Newton. That's all. Or 5G. Got it? If you look at this system, see, if you look at this system, you will say, sir, T3 downward and 2G downward. Here, sir, T3 upward and 3G downward. And here, T2 upward. Now, if you look at this system, then these two will get cancelled. So only this will remain downward and this will remain upward. That is why I am saying T2 is equals to total weight of the total weight of both the blocks. Initially W is greater. So W is greater than F. So we will say W minus F is equals to whatever is the mass. What is the mass of the W by G is the mass, right? W by G is the mass into F. Okay, this is equation number 1. Now next, they are saying, suppose now they throw some weight, suppose x kg of weight is thrown, x kg of weight is thrown. So it is W minus x downward total weight, and F is still acting, but now it is going up with an acceleration, equal acceleration upward, that means F upward, right? Same acceleration upward. Are you able to understand? I guess yes, because you are not able to answer right now. So I will say F minus W minus x, okay, is equals to W minus x by G into F. This time this is greater, right? This time F is greater. So I hope you can solve these two equations and probably get the answer right. So you will add equation 1 and 2. I suppose it is better if you add a balloon of gross weight W Newton descends with an acceleration F meter per second square. Okay, now this is a good question. But this is a very common question. Whenever I teach my students, I definitely take this question. So this is one of the common, very common questions. So definitely we can discuss it now quickly. So students, let's see what is given here. The balloon of gross weight W. Okay, so weight of the balloon is W. So where should the balloon go initially? If the weight of the balloon is W, balloon should go down. But balloon is going down, but it should go down with an acceleration G. But it is going down with an acceleration. Let's say A1 is F. It is going down with F. Okay, that means there must be some function here in the balloon. Some engine must be there which is pushing the balloon upwards, right? So let's say that engine force is F. So what they are saying is initially what is happening, W is greater and F is lesser. Equations. Okay, if you add them, what will happen? F and F gets cancelled, minus F and F, they will get cancelled. So we'll write it like this: equation 1 plus equation 2. So it will become W minus W plus X. F and F gone, already gone. So it will be 2W minus X into F by G. It is cancelled. So it will be Gx is equals to 2W G by Fx is equals to 2W minus X. So from here we will say X common, 1 plus G by F is equals to 2W, right? So X will be 2WF upon G plus F, 2WF upon G plus F. Third option is right. Got it? Got it. So what is happening initially? The balloon is going down because its weight is more and engine power is less, right? Next time when you throw some weight down, when you throw some mass away, then it is lighter. So now its weight is lesser and the engine force is upward, which is upward is higher. Okay, so engine force is higher. So this time what will happen? In the next time it will go up with the same acceleration, they are saying. Now a person aiming to reach exactly opposite point on the bank of stream is swimming with speed of 0.5 meter per second at an angle this with the direction, the speed of the water in the stream. Simple. Remember one thing, I will tell you once again. The man is swimming like this at what angle? It's 120 degrees with the direction of the flow of water. So this is U, this is V, and he wants to reach this point. That means his resultant should be in this direction, that is Vm. See, if this is the resultant, one more way we can say that this V will have two components, right? One is this component, other one is this component, right? So actually, if this is theta, I should say, so V cos theta is cancelling U. So this must be equal to U. So such that cos theta will be U by V. So these two components will cancel and only this will remain. What is this? V sin theta, and this will be equal to Vm. Do you understand? Okay, so this is the logic that we can use here, and in this question theta is 60 degrees. So what else they have given? What else they have given? Theta is known to us, V is given. Okay, cos 60 is what? Half. U by V is how much? 0.5. So U is how much? 1 by 4, 0.25. Okay, got it? 43. The pressure of a monatomic gas increases linearly linearly from P1 to P2, that is from 4 to 8 like this, okay, linearly from V1, that is 0.2 to V2, that is 0.5. Work done is area under the graph. Simple, simple, simple. So what is the area under this graph? You will say, sir, area of this trapezium. What is the area of the trapezium? You will say, sir, half into sum of two parallel sides into distance between the perpendicular distance between the two parallel sides, right? Sum of the length. Now what are the two parallel sides? These are the two parallel sides. Yes, what is this? 4 plus 8. 4 plus 8 is 12. So it will be half into 12 into 10 to the power 5. What is the perpendicular distance? This volume 0.5 minus 0.2 is 0.3 meter cube. So 2 1s are 2 6s are 6 3s are 18. That is 1.8 into 10 to the power 5 joules, right? Okay, so there is a misprint. This must be like 18. Okay, and this must be 1.8. So this is right. Got it, students? Now, the efficiency of the Carnot engine is 50% and the temperature of the sink is 500 Kelvin. That means T2 is 500 Kelvin. T2 is 500 Kelvin. So we will say 50% means 50 by 100. 1 minus 500 by T1. Solve it. Okay, get the value of T1, it will be 1000 Kelvin, right? Can see now 1 by 2 half 2 into 500 1000 Kelvin. Now if it is to be raised to 60% without changing the sink temperature, so you will say okay 60 by 100 1 minus 500 by T1 dash, so it will be how much? 60 by 100, 2 3 is a 2 5, the 3 by 5. So let me tell what we will do. We will say 1 minus sink temperature has to be different and this is same 1000 Kelvin, right? So it will be 2 by 5 is equals to T2 dash by 1000. 5 ones are 5, 200, T2 dash is 400 Kelvin. Got it? I told you. See, I'll draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. Suppose it is given. This is pressure volume graph. Okay, this is from P1 to different pressures, but volume V1 to V2. Suppose the gas is expanding. Now these are different gases. I will tell you which gas is following which process. This is isobaric. Now this is adiabatic. This is triatomic, diatomic, monoatomic, isothermal. Got it? So here if you compare, this must be greater gamma, right? This gamma should be greater. Here gamma should be lesser. So as see PV to the power n is constant. Okay. So from bottom you go n equals to 1 and it goes on increasing, right? Like this. So here this gas, if you are having one monatomic and another diatomic, then this must be diatomic and this must be monoatomic. So diatomic is oxygen, monoatomic is helium. Second option is right. Got it, students? Come on, let me know. Yes, okay. Now this is an easy one. 3 samples of the gas, initial equal volume. Now the volume of each sample is doubled. The process of first is adiabatic, second is isobaric, third is isothermal. Final pressure, okay. So for adiabatic you will say PV to the power gamma is constant. So you will say, sir, P1 V1 to the power gamma is equals to P2 V2 to the power gamma. Okay. So final pressures will be equal for all the 3 samples. Achha, final pressures are equal. Initially they have same volume. The ratio of the initial pressures. Okay. So P1 into so let's say P1 is equal, अबे यार क्या हो रहा है, P1 is equals to P2. P2 is same, let's say P. into V2 by V1. Volume is doubled. Now the volume of each sample is doubled. So this will be V2 by V1 to the power gamma, that is 2V, right? So P into 2 to the power gamma. What is gamma? 3 by 2. 3 by 2, that is 2 root 2. 2 root 2. This is P1 for adiabatic. Now second is your isobaric. Isobaric, that means pressure is constant. So P2 is equal to P1 is equals to P. Okay? Okay. Whatever it is, same. So we will say here initial pressure would have been P only. Now third is what? Isobaric, isothermal. So P1 V1 is equals to P2 V2. So we know that this is V and this is what? P, and this is what? 2V, and this is what? P1. So here P1 will be 2P, right? So if you take the ratio, it will be 2 root 2 is to 1 is to 2. Got it? The velocity of the body, mass 20 kg decreases from 20 to 5 in a distance of 100 force. It's simple. I guess now you can do it now. You will say, sir, V square is equals to U square plus 2AX delta X, right? V is how much? 5 square. U is how much? 20 square plus 2 into A. Delta X is how much? 100 meters. How much is this? 400 minus 25, 375 minus 375 by 200 is equals to A. Now what is force? Force is mass into A. What is mass? 20. So you will say, sir, 20 into 375 by 200. 37.5 Newton, right? Minus 37.5, sorry. Got it? 48 is a very simple question. 310 joules of heat is required to raise the temperature of 2 moles of an ideal gas at constant pressure. Again, read the lines. Don't lose your energy. Okay, this is the time that you have to focus more, because last 5 to 6 questions are those questions which definitely you make mistake. Why? Because your brain is completely exhausted and you have to attempt complete chemistry, you have to attempt complete zoology and botany, everything is remaining. This is the moment where your mind starts freaking out. This is the moment where your mind starts panicking, and this is the moment you have to show you're a hero, right? This is the moment that you stop, take a deep breath and go again with the solutions. Okay, so be a machine, be a question solving machine during examination. 310 joules of heat is required to raise the temperature of 2 moles. Number of moles is also given at constant pressure. Okay, from 25 to 30, so everything is given here. N is given to T2 is 35 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees Celsius, yeah, 10 Kelvin. Temperature difference, no problem whether it's degree Celsius or whether Kelvin, right? Now the amount of heat required to raise constant pressure, so delta Q will be NCP delta T. Now what is delta Q? 310, 2 into Cp into delta T is 10. I guess Cp will be what? At constant pressure, na? Yes, Cp will be what? 15.5, right? Now, what is Cp minus Cv? It is R. So what is Cv? It is Cp minus R. So Cp is 15.5 minus 8.3. How much is this? Can you tell me? 15 minus 8 is how much? 7. 7.5 minus 0.3, 7.2. Now what you need is delta Q. So NCV delta T. Put the values. 2 into 7.2 into 10. That is 14.4 into 10. That is 144 joules. Because in this question we are not given gamma. And they have not even mentioned whether it's a monatomic gas, diatomic or triatomic. Otherwise, we would have directly taken the ratio and solved the question, right? Fantastic. 144 is right. 49. Very easy question. Very easy question. Just look at it. Just look at it. What is B2C? Constant temperature. What is A2D? Constant temperature. So B2C constant temperature, is it here? B2C constant temperature, A2D constant temperature, right? But here not. So this is at least wrong answer. Now, let's say A to B is a straight line. That means V by T is constant. Okay, V by T is constant. What is PV equals to nRT, right? So we need to draw pressure and temperature. So eliminate V. V is what? nRT by P. So here we will say nRT by P upon T is constant. That means pressure is constant, because these all things are constant. That means these process AB and CD are constant pressure. So constant pressure, that means this is wrong. Either this is right or this is right. Now see, here once very carefully, we will say that P by T, we need to figure out what is pressure upon temperature. Now pressure is constant. Now see, V by T, how much? What is this? V by T. V by T is, write down, V by T is, V is what? V by T is the slope. And can you see that? V by T is coming out to be equal to 1 by P. Sorry, 1 by P. Can you see that? It is coming out to be 1 by P on solving. And 1 by P is constant. Sorry, 1 by P is slope. So that means higher the pressure, lesser the slope, or lesser the slope, higher the pressure. So lesser the slope, higher the pressure. That means AB is having higher pressure. That means this is higher and CD is lower pressure. So this option is correct. Okay. Okay, let me explain. I know you must be getting confused here. Okay, I'll explain one second. Don't worry, Baba. Okay. V by T. Now what is V? V is nRT by P into T. What is this? This is nR by P. Now V by T is also the slope of this graph, and slope is inversely proportional to pressure, right? Now you can see lesser the slope, higher the pressure. So lesser slope of AB, higher pressure of AB. So higher pressure of AB, right? Now the last question. This is a very good question, students. Ideal monatomic gas is taken through a process. They have given something that dq is equals to 2 times du. What is du? NCV dt. This is what dq. Now what is dq? NC dt. This is 2NCV dt. Remember, because we want to find out what is the molar heat capacity of this process. So we will write like this: NDT will get cancelled. So molar heat capacity is 2CV, and what is CV? CV is F by 2 into R, that is F into R. Now what is degree of freedom of a monoatomic gas? It is 3. You will say it is 3R. So which option is right? You will say, sir, second option. My dear students, that is all for today. We have discussed all the possible questions of your AIIMS and MPL, both the papers, right? So I hope you like this video, you learn a lot from this video and my solutions. Please subscribe to our channel and help it promote. Okay, thanks, that's a lot. Thanks a lot, and that's all for today. Tada, bye bye.